You're listening to Faith Breathed Hope, episode number 14. Today I speak with Laura Kelly and Sarita Hayes of Grace in Grief. They share their stories of loss and how they have a desire to help others through their own grief journey. Welcome to the Faith Breathed Hope podcast, where we gain inspiration and motivation from others who share their touching stories of renewing hope and discovering purpose in any circumstance. I'm your host, Christina Reisinger, and today we will be encouraged by another tremendously inspirational topic that will embolden you to release fear, begin taking small steps forward, and move into your God-given purpose to live and serve in this life. Join me for today's story. Hey everyone, I am here with Laura Kelly and Sarita Hayes from Grace in Grief. Welcome, ladies.
Hey. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. So I want to ask both of you a little bit about your stories, who you are. So Laura, would you like to tell our audience who you are and a little bit about your story? What got you here?
Yeah, so I have had 3 miscarriages, and all of them have been early losses. And I was just left feeling alone and forgotten throughout each of the processes of healing through them. I have 2 living girls. They're Samara's 6 and Peyton is 4, and then married to Michael for almost 8 years.
Okay. All right. And Sarita?
So I'm Sarita, and I have 3 boys. I'm married to Aaron, almost 7 years, and then we have 3 boys. Emerson is 4, and our twins, Amos and Noah, are 3. And 2 August ago, I had a miscarriage, and Laura and I are really good friends, and so she was like the first person I contacted with that. And as both of us have kind of gone through our journeys, we've just been there for each other and figured out how to live life with grieving. But that's kind of who I am and how we knew each other.
Okay, so you guys already knew each other before the miscarriages, both of you. And so tell us a little bit about how Grace in Grief was born, about the why, and what it is. What is it? Why do you do what you do?
So last April or May, Sarita and I had a trip planned to the beach together, just the 2 of us for the weekend. And I had just finished up the actual miscarriage process of our second loss. Still, like, with my previous loss, I had shared with family and friends and had posts on social media about ways that I really needed to be supported, ways that I needed them to remember my babies. And I really thought when we lost our with the second loss, that I would be met better than before, or just really met at all. And I wasn't. And so Sarita and I went to the beach, and I am in the midst of really messy emotions with just being frustrated with people, frustrated that I lost another baby. And Sarita had her miscarriage, which she can tell you about in just a second. And really, like, probably 70% of that trip was just us talking with each other about the frustrations that we have within our culture around miscarriage and how lonely and forgotten women feel in infant loss. And so we just sat in our hotel room and started dreaming up ways we could support moms, and ways that hopefully we can make a tiny difference in a few lives. So
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarita, you want to jump in here?
Yeah. So
So tell us, what is Grace and Grief? What happened from that hotel room moving forward? You had some ideas and you wanted to help moms who had experienced miscarriage because you could speak to that from a personal level. What happened from there?
So we were kind of like a little giddy just thinking about, wow, like maybe this pain can have a purpose, and maybe we can be the people who educate those around us on how you respond to grief and how you respond to miscarriage and infant loss. And so we just started going back and forth, sharing ideas, and in the weeks following, we were just like texting back and forth and calling, and decided that a care package would be really helpful in those early days of grief. And then we were talking about, okay, well, what if we started like a nonprofit or a ministry of some sort to, like, maybe we could reach more than just our friends who have losses. And so as we were just sharing ideas back and forth, and neither of us really knowing how to start up anything like this is our first time to just kind of go out there and put ourselves out there. We just decided, like, why not? Like, why not use our voice and use our place in this culture to try to make a difference? And I think originally we said, like, even if we meet like 5 moms, like that would be super cool. And we were just like, who knows if anyone would even want this, like if they would sign up. But pretty soon after launching, it was just super evident that there's a huge need. And it wasn't just us thinking this, but on a wide scale, worldwide, a huge need for moms to be met where they're at. And so I think since that day in April last year, it's almost been a year. It's crazy to see how far Grace and Grief has come, but almost like intimidating because there's so much more need than we'll ever be able to meet in ourselves. But I think we are just trying to do what we can with where we're at, with what we have. And
okay. So this was a nonprofit then. You did eventually make it a nonprofit status, right?
In the process.
You're in the process.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to clear that up. So you said you were looking to bless moms and maybe think about doing a ministry. Is it faith-based, or do you consider it faith-based?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
We aren't shy about the fact that we're both believers and want to meet women and encourage women with truth too.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what do you actually, so when you said it was pretty soon, after a loss, that you think that a care package would be something that somebody wanted, are we talking weeks after, months after, a year after? Because when we go through a loss, you're looking at a year after. That's still very new.
Yeah.
Right? You have just gone through all of the holidays, all of the birthdays, and just all of the firsts. So what does that look like as far as, do you have a time frame, or just you help whoever reaches out to you? How does that work?
So once a mom signs up, Laura is really great at organization, and she has set up, we have a Google Calendar where we have all of our moms inputted in there, and we write down their loss date and their due date. And then when the mom signs up, we send a care package out, no matter what point of their journey they're on, whether it's been 2 days or 4 months. And then every due date, loss date, following that, we write a letter to them and then just like random check-ins and stuff. Okay.
And you also work with women who have not just miscarried, right, but who have had children that they have lost, babies that they have lost.
Yeah, and honestly, the majority of the women who have signed up for Grace and Grief are moms who have walked through infant loss or lost a toddler. It's actually a small percentage of our moms who have actually had just miscarriages.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that I am one of those moms that you sent a care package to, and I am very, very grateful. We lost our youngest at 10 and a half months. So but there are so many people out there who have had miscarriages and who have lost children. And I think that a lot of people don't think about this. You go about your day, you may have children, you may not have children. If you have children, you don't really think about it when your children are healthy. But there are a lot of women out there who have gone through this and have experienced this pain. So can you share like your numbers? Like, do you have an estimate of numbers of how many women you talk to? Or
Right now, we probably have around 100 women who have signed up with their loss and due dates in our calendar.
Okay, but you hear stories probably quite often. So for those people who are wanting to sign up, I usually do this at the end, but right now I think it would be good for you to share. Is it just graceandgrief.com, or where would they sign up for this?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group called Grace and Grief, and Instagram, and then we have a website that is thegraceandgrief.com, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And any of those sources they can sign up with.
Okay, and it's just a simple form that they fill out, and then you guys contact them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you tell us a little bit about the process. So once they filled out this form and they're in your system, you want to reach out to them. I know that you personally reached out to me, and I'm very thankful for that. So can you tell us, what the mom should expect? She gets a care package. You want to talk about what's in the care package, or?
When we get the email with the form that they fill out, it has all of their information in it. If it doesn't have their information, I email them and ask for what I need. It's totally free. There's no payment method on there. And then we try to get the care package out within a week of them sending in their form. Sometimes with sick babies and stuff, it ends up being a little bit longer than that, but we try to get it out within the week. And then they receive the 2 handwritten letters that we send on their due dates and loss date every year. Sometimes we add little goodies in there for moms. And then we try, aside from those 2 days, to email or text at random points and just tell them we're thinking about them and their babies and just want to know how they're doing and if we can pray for them in any specific way.
That's awesome. Do you typically get a response back from these women? I mean, do you get a lot of thank yous or, hey, yes, please pray for me here?
Yeah, there have only been a few times that I've emailed or texted and haven't gotten a response. Sarita, you might have a different experience.
Yeah, I think that I've found most of the moms who sign themselves up respond back, and I usually always write my phone number in the card so that they can reach me just personally. If they, middle of the night was really hard for me. I'd wake up to my twin and just the grief would hit me, and I would sometimes text Laura then. And so I want those moms to have that contact. And I think there are very few times that they haven't responded or haven't texted me and said, hey, this is my name, thanks for giving me your number. And I've had some really beautiful conversations that way. But there have been some moms who have been signed up by their moms or by their best friend, and I've found that sometimes those moms are a little don't respond as much, but that makes sense if they didn't sign themselves up. And we encourage moms to sign themselves up and not feel bad about that. And so usually in those moments, all of them contact back.
Okay. Do you have a, and I'm sure there's some point of confidentiality that you have, but do you have more of a running topic or a running theme of things that people are struggling with when they reach out to you, like they ask for prayer? Is it, for me as a grief coach, I hear a lot of I'm a burden. And I am afraid to ask for help because I don't feel like people want to hear what I have to say. And I know personally, I felt that way even a month after my daughter passed away. I felt like I had talked about it and nobody wanted to hear me anymore. I know that's kind of crazy, but in my mind, my crazy grief-ridden mind was like, hey, nobody wants to hear your sob story anymore. So do you get that?
Yeah, I think that's so common. Even, I mean, we've had moms too, and I feel this way. It's almost been 2 years for me, or a year and a half, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, it's been too long. Like, I don't need to talk about it. But I think the beauty of what we want to do is to just say we are always open ears. Like, there's always freedom to talk. And I hate that that's a common thought in moms, but it's just, that's like the lies that I think our culture tells us, that there's not room for you to be sad, there's not room for you to grieve, you just need to move on, like it's been enough time. And so that is definitely a common thing we hear. And I think depression is another really common thing. People are just depressed and they don't want to talk about it, but maybe need to. And so just having someone that they feel safe with usually helps them be able to like branch out a little bit. But
Right. Laura, do you have any other topics that come to mind that are common?
I think something that I have had a lot of conversations with our moms about have been difficulty working through triggers. If it's the day, or a lot of our moms have nieces or nephews who have been born around the same time, and they just don't know, they feel guilty for struggling with messy emotions. So in general, triggers, which it just looks like a lot of different things, but because it's not talked about often, we just really struggle with what's acceptable and what's not as far as working through those.
And that's what I try to get out here on the Faith Breathed Hope podcast. And then in other things that we do, we have a symposium coming up here. The re-release of a symposium in March, and then another one, the 2020 symposium, is going to come out in October. And that's what we do, is we try to reach out to people and let them know that they're not alone, they're not a burden. Grief is so awkward for the person who's going through it, and for the people who are not going through it, but love those people who are going through it and don't know what to say. There's this thought that we can't talk about it because it's hard, it's difficult. And when, just as you guys know, when you talk about it, there is healing in that. And I am sure that having fresh loss for both of you, it's still pretty fresh. There's somewhat of a healing process in what you're doing. Have you found that? Have you come to realize that by helping other people, it is helping you to continue to heal on your own grief journey?
I definitely think so. Something else I just thought of that I hear from a lot of moms is they just want people to say their baby's name, because people do feel awkward about it. And our culture is terrible at responding to grief. And most people, they say, I don't know what to say. But sometimes you don't need to say anything. You just need to sit there with the person in that grief, enter that space, and say, this is okay to realize this sucks. This is not fair. I hate that you're going through this, but I'm here to just sit with you. And being able to be that person for mom after mom has definitely provided healing for me. And I was just telling a friend last night that I still every day wonder what it would look like if Oaks was here, what it would be like to have 4 kids. But I don't cry at the thought of it like I used to. And I think that just shows that the healing has happened. But I think when we can just come together and unite and share a story and talk about it does provide healing, because it's that safe space to just share the nasty muck of what the season of grief brings, but do so in a safe space. And I think that also provides healing for the moms to just know, okay, I'm not alone, my baby matters, I matter. We can talk about these hard things, we don't have to shy away from this hard thing. So yeah, I've definitely, all that to say, I've definitely experienced healing through grace and grief.
And I love that you say that, opening up, people need to open up and know that it's okay to talk about it, and definitely saying their baby's name. That is the best thing for your ears to hear, is when somebody says, hey, for me, hey, I remember Isabella. I know you miss Isabella, or allow you to say their name, as much as you need to. So what do you think, Laura, about your healing? Has this helped you on your own healing journey?
Yeah, I mimic everything Sarita just said. It really is so true. And I also agree with sometimes saying the baby's name can be the most healing thing. We just had celebrated on Monday our first lost Noah, his second birthday, or what would have been his second birthday. And my sister-in-law texted me and said, if Noah were here, we would be snuggling his cute self and singing him happy birthday. And just reading his name in a text message can be like, it just breathes hope back into your soul when you don't even know you need it sometimes.
Right, because it allows you to understand that they are still a part of your family. I hear a lot of mothers, and I myself felt this way. One of the hardest questions is, how many children do you have? And if you are someone who has miscarried, or you have lost a child, especially at a young age, but at any age, it's very difficult, because the easy way is to say, oh, I have 2 children if you have 2 children left, or, oh, I have no children if that was your only child, or whatever it may be. You don't have to get into any type of a conversation. You don't, have to feel that awkwardness. But there is a compulsion, I believe, at least for me, there was a compulsion to include Isabella. Every time, I don't have, 5 children. I have 6 children. I have 2 from my husband's first marriage, 3 at home, and 1 that lives with Jesus. And I never want to leave her out. So I assume that is the case for many, many mothers. I'm guessing you guys, that is the case for you. How do you answer that question?
You go first, Sarita.
Sarita.
It's hard because, even though I've talked to hundreds of moms at this point and know that we all kind of feel this way, I lost very early on. And there's an awkwardness around it, like, okay, it shouldn't have bothered you that much. And you just need to kind of move on. But I view that child as my own. I'm so grateful to the Lord, but I've had dreams that I believe are my little Oaks, and I see his face, and I think that's what he's looking like in heaven. And so whenever people ask me, I think I want to say 4. I have 4 kids, but usually I just say like three boys, because it is hard to go into it and to explain. Because when I did early on, I would say like, oh, well, like people in the grocery store would be like, oh, you have 3 boys. Actually, I have 4. Then I had one lady say to me like, oh, he doesn't really count. And that like stuck with me so deep, because I thought, he does count. Like, he is mine. And so typically I just say, I have 3 kids, just to avoid it, because it kind of surfaces all of those feelings. And I just want to go like the easier route in ways, as much as I hate it. But my close friends will say like, we'll include Oaks into conversations, and I really appreciate that, because it's like the people who know me and care about me are remembering him. But something Laura and I have talked about is it's hard whenever grandparents talk about the number of grandkids they have, because we want our kids to be our babies who have died, included, and they're not, at least in our situations. And so that's hard, because you don't want to constantly be like, hey, don't forget, our babies, but that's what we're thinking in our mind. So
right. What about you, Laura? How do you?
It really depends on who it's with. For people that I don't know, I just kind of like judge the situation. And if I think like Sarita, if I think there's a possibility of someone saying something hurtful, I just want to avoid it altogether. So it just depends really on the person.
Right. And I think we, sometimes we need to look at this and say, well, sometimes people are not really trying to be hurtful. They're actually trying to be helpful. But they feel some kind of obligation to try to fix us as mothers. They want to fix our pain and make it go away. And they can't do that. And like Sarita said earlier, just sitting and listening, saying your child's name, allowing you to say your child's name is very, very helpful. And we all need things in different ways because we have different experiences and different personalities, but we also need different things at different stages of our grief. So, when you are working with some of these mothers, do they come back to you multiple times and talk? I know you said that sometimes they'll reach out for prayer requests. Have you noticed, and how long has the Grace and Grief been? How long have you been doing this?
We launched on Mother's Day of last year, so not quite.
Okay, so you're very, very new in all of this. That would be an interesting thing to look at over the course of the time, how many people continue to come back, because I think that it is a support that women need ongoing. You get through the first year, like I said before, and it's all the new things. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, that first year is quite a blur. My memory is not as good as it used to be after a loss. So I would be interested to know if, people continue to come back to you. When do you provide other resources for these moms? Do you just have the support? Do you know where this is going in the future? Maybe those are separate questions, but
as far as resources, I try when we're writing letters, if it's the baby's first birthday that we're writing a letter to, I try to incorporate in my card, like, here are some ideas if you want to honor their life. And then on our website, we have a page for family and friends with resources and tips for them. And we also have a resource page for moms with a ton of links to books and just little things you can buy and stuff.
That's awesome. So where do you feel that Grace and Grief is going from here? Do you have great dreams for expanding? Or I know you said that you're in the middle of getting it approved, I guess, for a nonprofit status. What does that look like? Just jump in, anybody. Sarita, you look like you want to talk.
Yeah, so we are in the process of getting a board together. We're going to have our first meeting a week from Saturday with the board to talk about the nonprofit status. And Laura has been doing all the legal work of it. So that's been exciting to just see. I know nothing about that. So she has a couple contacts who have been able to help us be like, okay, this is how you do it the right way. But yeah, we have really big dreams for it. We would love for it to grow because there's a need, but we're trying to be really careful to not let it grow too quick because we want to be really intentional that everyone who's part of it knows our heart in Grace and Grief, and that we don't want it to get so big that we can't meet moms where they're at in a tangible way. And so I think Laura's really good at reminding me we need to be really careful because we are this is our baby in ways, we created this thing. We need to be careful to make sure that each person who is in part of it has a heart who aligns with ours in wanting to really sit with moms, because we never want it to turn into a thing where moms feel rushed to heal or need to present a certain way or whatever. And I think once it gets bigger, there's potential for that. But yes, we are starting in-person events where we're going to meet with any of our friends and family who want to write letters to moms, and we're going to let them step in and participate. We're going to explain how we write the letters and just let them help us, because we've had a lot of people who've shown interest in wanting to help, which is amazing. And so we're going to just see what that looks like moving forward. But we definitely want it to grow because the need is bigger than both of us can do on our own.
Yeah, certainly. Do you want to jump in with anything else, Laura, or she pretty much said?
She got it.
Okay. All right. So I want to, I know what we mentioned just reaching out, being there, listening, saying your child's name. Before we get off of here today, I would like for you to, give some ideas to a mom who has just lost. And it can be in any stage. It can be like right now, like right after it happened, or within the first year or the second year or whatever. But maybe some ideas of things that can comfort her. Any kind of, I dare say, I don't want to use the word tips, but anything that can help support that mother during the time.
I think for me, one of the biggest things that's been helpful for my heart is to allow myself space for whatever it is that I need, and to not feel guilty for that. And that has been, I think for every mom, especially if it's your first loss, you don't know what emotion it's okay to feel, feeling guilty for certain emotions. So just crying or being mad or laughing, like, don't feel guilty for laughing if you laugh at something. Really just allowing your heart and your mind space for, in that day, whatever it is that you need, because like you said, at different stages, we need different things. Also, I would encourage moms to talk to their family and friends, and not feel dramatic or guilty for saying, it would really mean a lot if you would write these dates on your calendar and remember my babies.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the simplest things, but just not feeling bad for asking for it, because I think it's really easy if people haven't walked through it to forget, or to just not know what to say. And sometimes a lot of people are willing to remember and are willing to meet you if you just communicate how you would like things to be. And then also, probably my last thing would just be not to feel silly for celebrating them as time goes on. I think it's Monday, my girls all day long asked, when are we going to light a cupcake for Noah and sing happy birthday to Noah? And I know there are people in my life who probably think it's silly to continue celebrating him, but it'll be something we do forever because they all matter. So just whatever it is that you need, it's okay, even if it's messy or it makes you uncomfortable or other people uncomfortable. There's no right way to do it. There's no timeline that at 1 year or 2 years you have to be completely over it. Like, that's just not how it works.
And isn't that the epitome of grace? So, you're giving yourself grace. Other people are giving you the grace that you need to be able to process and grieve the way that you need to. And I love that you said that asking people, telling them that you need them to put it on their calendar, and, acknowledge that is a great idea. Not feeling guilty for, laughing or smiling. I know that's huge, when you have lost anyone, but you've lost your child, and you feel like you are sad, and you're very, sometimes very depressed or angry or whatever. And any of those positive emotions can bring up guilt, any kind of laughter or joy, because your brain is saying, hey, I'm not allowed to feel this anymore. But that's not true. And that's one of the things I like to express to people, that you can choose and you can live your life after loss. You can find hope after loss. And then also that not feeling silly about continuing to celebrate a birthday, or, and I think that is huge too, because there are family members even, I think, and friends that don't understand that. They, I've heard a lot of people say, even family members will say, why haven't you moved on yet? It's been a year. It's been 2 years. Why are you still doing this? But it is very important to hold that space for your loved one, for your child. And for me, and it sounds like for you guys as well, it's very important to hold that space, because I have other young children who I want to remember her, and I want them to be sensitive to things like this that happen. So, Sarita, what did you want to add?
So one thing that I was thinking about, very early on, Laura told me, give yourself grace, Sarita. And that was the thing that I'm not good at, but what I needed. When I lost Oaks, my twins were super young. I was super exhausted already. And I just thought, like, I should be able to handle this and move on. And at my church, I probably will forever remember this day, but I sat in my Sunday school class and tears flowing down my eyes, requested prayer. And I thought the response would be one of I'm so sorry, I'm here for you, I love you. But I had several people come to me later or message me and just say, Sarita, I think you're not reading your Bible enough or not praying enough because it shouldn't affect you this way. And so then I kind of just closed off and didn't talk to those people because I felt very unsafe there. And so something that I always try to tell moms who are believers, who are going through miscarriage and the grief following, is that it doesn't reflect your spirituality or your relationship with the Lord, that you need to be angry or sad or cry. Give yourself grace to feel whatever comes, because if you don't make room for those feelings, that healing won't happen. And that it's not bad to be angry. That's a normal, healthy emotion. And we sometimes need to feel anger to be able to feel love and peace and hope in the days to come. But yeah, another thing that I wasn't good at early on that I try to encourage moms is to tell those closest to you, whether it's your spouse or your best friend or your kids, what your expectations of them in that journey is. If you need them to give you space, just say, I need space right now. If you need them to not leave your side, tell them, I need you to not leave my side, because my husband just didn't know what to do. And that caused a lot of fights for us because I just expected him to know how to respond to me. And I was thinking in my head, I just wish he would do this or that. But just clearly communicating your needs. And like Laura said, asking your family, can you remember this date, please? It's uncomfortable for me. I'm not confrontational. So to say hey, can you do this? It's uneasy for me, but I wish if I could go back, that's one thing that I would change. And I think would assist in my healing a lot more.
You could probably do it at this point too. I mean, I know maybe it seems like you're a little bit into it, but I think that it would be okay if you reached out to people even now.
Yeah. Another thing, counseling, to not feel shameful if you need counseling. I started counseling last summer, and that has been the greatest thing for me. And so I think there's this shame put around counseling that reflects that you're in a really bad place, but that's okay. Counseling is a good thing. So anyway.
Yeah. I had counseling for the first year, and I was in an opposite place from you. So I went ahead and got into it right away. And then when it was over, because it was something that hospice put me into, when it was over, I almost didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know who to talk to. Wow. So that's part of why I wanted to become a grief coach, so that I could help people even past that counseling time, because I really needed that. But when you were talking about the ladies at church, I think it's great that you're expressing the fact that you have permission to feel what you feel, and feeling these feelings of anger and guilt and depression is not necessarily a biblical thing, even though you are a Christian and you are of the faith. You are certainly allowed to have feelings, and you have to process those feelings to be able to grow. And if somebody continues to tell you to stuff those feelings, you're never going to see what could be brought out of it. So I think that it is good that you are able to share that with people. So I am really excited about this nonprofit right now, and I cannot wait to see how it grows. Can you tell everybody one more time where they can sign up for the Grace and Grief package and how they can get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, you can go to our Facebook and Instagram pages called Grace in Grief, or go to our website, thegraceingrief.com, and fill out our basic form, and then we will get in touch with you and make sure we have all of your information and be in touch.
Yeah, and I just want to say that's Grace, N-I-N, not A-N-D, in grief, in case that didn't come across. But also, it will be in the show notes. And so I thank you, ladies, for joining me today on Faith Breathed Hope. And again, I look forward to seeing what great things that you have in the future.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us on Faith Breathed Hope, where you gain inspiration and motivation to renew hope and discover purpose in any circumstance. Please like and share this podcast and give us a review on iTunes. Be blessed.